As far as beginnings of stories go, mine was rather uneventful. I grew up in Dubai for most of my life. My childhood memories weave around wooden floors of bookstores, hours spent reading at my ancestral home during summer holidays, and the many unfinished chapters of novels written in my head. My childhood love for stories, quite unsurprisingly, spilled over into my adult life. I love the way words taste in my mouth and the power of stories to kind of muffle the noise of people talking loudly in metros. In my first year of undergraduate studies in economics at St.Stephens College, I began volunteering at a shelter home in Daryaganj. Volunteering was almost life transformational for me. I realized that being around kids made me happy. The following year, I went on to take up more responsibilities with the NGO, including training the new volunteers that came in. Suddenly, I found more things that made me as happy as reading books on the college terrace and the library corridor that you see here. By my final semester, I was aware of a few things. I had neither the interest nor the aptitude for a career in economics. I wanted to be in a more multidisciplinary setting. Reading and writing would probably always be my safe space. I felt strongly about education equity, specifically language and primary education. I wasn't great at too many things, but I felt that I had the power to drive people for what they felt passionate for. The natural next step was to pursue a postgraduate diploma in liberal arts and leadership. What really stood out for me at the Young India Fellowship was the experiential learning module. With the aim to complement work experience with the academic work that we do, students in teams of 3s and 4s undertake an 8-month-long project. We get over 100 projects to pick from across companies, organizations, and institutes. We also have the option of doing something on our own. That's what we did. Almost 1.5 years ago, we began the Wordsworth Project as a self-designed experiential learning module. What is the Wordsworth Project? The Wordsworth Project is a volunteer-driven after-school intervention. Through our volunteers, we work with children in community centers and NGO spaces with the dual aim of literacy and making them love reading. But breaking it down, this is what we do. We reach out to or are often reached out to by NGOs or community centers that work with children. Most of them work in education, but largely remedial instruction to fill the gaps that the children might face owing to going to a low-resource private school or a government school. What we offer is an additional intervention, a lot less serious. With the aim of getting children to love reading and learn language along the way, our volunteer-driven intervention seamlessly fits into the existing systems. When we first visit the center, we informally test the children to understand the range of reading levels. We then bring in a curated book list, which includes a set of even bilingual content by indigenous publishers. Our volunteers intervene as often as the space and the children require, so it's a rather tailored model. The volunteers spend time between assisting the kids with reading and also helping them tackle any issues that they might see as barriers to reading, say for example, building vocabulary. We currently operate out of 8 spaces in Delhi with over 60 volunteers. The past year has been an incredible personal journey, and one of the things that I learned first is that your idea will become larger than you, and it will evolve from what you started off with in your head. Our first draft plan was quite ambitious. It just took us a few ground visits and conversations with people who have been in this space to kind of whittle down to what we do now. I used to be an independent worker. I would work really late into nights, listening to indie folk music, or work out of cafes, eavesdropping on people on the other tables. I think all of us have a few limiting mindset. Mine was that I thought that I worked best alone. Working with Priyanka, there were these exhilarating moments that made me think otherwise. And that's what Wordsworth is for me. It helps me push my boundaries. It's so easy to find those 5 things that you're good at or enjoy or both and to do them repeatedly. When running your own thing, you lose the luxury of choosing to do only tasks that you enjoy. You do everything that needs getting done. Sometimes it could mean improvising on the go. For instance, today, my co-founder and I were supposed to present a piece together, but owing to some situation, she couldn't make it, and here's a new piece. But it isn't as difficult as I make it sound. Often, you don't even have to go halfway. Help can come from anywhere, and I absolutely mean it. When we set up a public wish list on Amazon, we had people who barely knew us or living in another country set up Amazon India accounts just to send us books. Above all, this year has been about rejecting that myth of having a single career goal. It has been about finding a space where I can combine the different things that make me happy. To realize that I don't have to choose between my love for fiction writing and my commitment to primary education. Both can coexist, and happily so. For me, this meant spending my last summer with an incredible set of illustrators who volunteered their time and creativity. I spent hours revisiting what about stories made me love them as a child. How do I create sentences that dance to recreate that magic? How do I create mini stories that double as language learning tools for my volunteers? I discussed children's writing with other aspiring writers in workshops and got feedback for the stories that I wrote. I'm yet to reach that perfect answer, but in that pursuit, I learned one significant thing about what Wordsworth is. Multiple pursuits of happiness for all our stakeholders, from those running the centers to our volunteers and, of course, the children. A couple of weeks ago, one of the volunteers at the center asked children, "What makes you happy?" So this is what one kid said: "I like to read and write. I like to come here. I like to study." She could easily be like the ambassador for the Wordsworth Project. But we also had this, princess frocks. And that's okay to want to be a princess or to feel happy if you have a princess frock. Because at the end of the day, we want children to love to read, but also just put words to their individual pursuits of happiness. For me, the Wordsworth is a space where I can bring different things together. In addition to my commitment to self to continue writing, what I want to do long term is to be a connector in the primary education space. I want to bring people together towards that vision of education equity, make things happen quickly. And this is something that I get to explore daily. When I bring volunteers from different spaces together in one room to discuss best practices, stories, and challenges, when I work with design school interns for illustrations, or when we work with college theater students to do storytelling sessions at our center. And most importantly, it's a journey that is evolving. With experiences, we change, and potentially with it, our personal definitions of what makes us happy. It could mean that one day your best operation manager says that she's no longer excited with coordinating with volunteers and making classes happen smoothly week after week. It means that you sit down with her and understand what could she potentially do, what could excite her now. It could mean working on long-term strategy with us. It could mean designing structures that make sure that the work of future operations managers become easy. And that is what Wordsworth is: a collection of our multiple pursuits of happiness, a journey that is evolving. We are nowhere near designing the perfect scalable solution, but we know that we will get there with passionate, inspired young individuals who care about literacy and behavioral elements to reading as much as we do, and also find within it their personal journey of happiness. Thank you.